so you guys ready to get informed about retirement?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about planning for a secure retirement and making sure that you do that by understanding what you have today, what you might need in the future, and combining that with your goals so that you can really have a more successful outcome, a more holistic plan. And I'm going to start with a story. And stories are usually, I know a guy who knows a guy, right? So I know a gal, and the gal is my mother-in-law. And she, just 2 years ago, had a house in Maryland, was married happily, my father-in-law. Unfortunately, he passed away from lung cancer. And she was left with the burden of trying to understand how to manage a home, manage finances, and doing all that while being retired with the only income as a pension. So now the question is, how did she deal with that? Well, she dealt with it in the only way that she could. She lost her house. She had to move in with us. And, could she have changed her situation just by planning better? By sitting down and having a conversation with her husband and identifying, do we have enough long term to be secure and feel secure in doing the things we want to do? And God forbid something happens to one of us, can we survive, independently? And so, even with Google, the internet, like all these resources, advisors, people still don't feel prepared. They have all these different things available to them to understand what they need to do. But the challenge is there's a lot of things happening in our environment, both socially and economically. So socially, people are living longer. So retirement's not 15 years anymore, it's more like 30 years. And so the thought in the back of your mind is, well, oh my gosh, if I'm gonna live 30 years longer, or however long I'm gonna live, I need to save more because I'm going to live longer. And then there's the thought of health, right? We continue to hear about causes in health issues, rising healthcare costs. So there's so many different variables, and you got to consider all of that stuff. And so, Bank of America, we all work for the bank. We know how invested the bank is in helping people really plan for a secure retirement. They continue to do a lot of research. So every 6 months, Merrill Edge conducts a survey with their clients to say, what keeps you up at night relative to retirement? And the feedback is consistently, gosh, I wish I just saved more. So we know what clients are thinking. And in the end, what it comes back to is they've got to have a good plan. And you can't have a good plan unless you know what you have today, what you're going to need in the future, and combining that with your goals, again, for a successful outcome. So there's always the story of where you are today. You have to know where you are today if you want to know where you need to be in the future, right? So the simple things you can do to get to know where you are today is go out and do a quick retirement calculation, right? You can go out and go to AXA Financial. You don't even have to go to Bank of America if you don't bank with us. You don't have to tell me. Go out, do the research. Simple things, put in your age, put in your annual income, put in your net savings. So that's what you have today. And that could be in a 401k account, it could be in an IRA, it could be in an annuity, it could be in a savings account. Accumulate all of that. Again, what do you have today, and what do you plan to contribute on an ongoing basis to your retirement? And figure out what that number is. And this is really neat because it tells you what you're going to have at the end of your retirement, and it's also going to tell you at the withdrawal rate of $70,000 per year, it's going to last you until you're 71. Is that enough? Probably not. So then there's the what you don't know, right? And so I talked about two things earlier. One was health, and one was a little bit of family, right? Talking about my mother-in-law. So health, there's the good side of health, and then there's the bad side of health. The good side of health is you might live longer. The bad side of health is, well, what if I become sick, right? That could be a problem for me. And what we're learning, and this is just statistics that I've come across, is bankruptcies resulting from healthcare burden is rising at a rate faster than credit card debt. So people are going bankrupt from healthcare problems more than credit cards. That's staggering. The next thing is, so maybe I live longer. Well, then the statistics show that if you're married, there's a chance that either you or your spouse is going to live to 95. I mean, now what do you do, right? So there's a lot of unknowns. And then your family, you've got, put yourself in the middle. Those are your kids on the bottom, and then that's your parents. So now I'm the person in the middle. I have to take care of my mother-in-law, and I've got to worry about my kids. So I've got double issues that I need to solve for. And then there's the topic of Social Security. There's a big question mark. Will it or won't it exist? I think a lot of that is probably mythbusters. But the point is, even the Social Security Administration releases an annual report, and they're even talking about the strain on the Social Security system. Pensions, you work for the bank, you have a pension? You have a pension? I don't have a pension either. So now it goes back to, we are really dependent on ourselves to have the right plan and understand what we need. And then there's your goals, right? So there's the known, there's the unknown, but then there's the what if I want to go buy a boat? You still need money for that, right? At the end of the day, it's a comprehensive plan. And so what this picture will depict is, it's a connect point. You can't have one without the other. You can't just focus on the unknown. You can't just focus on the known. You got to focus on all of this together with your goals to equal happy retirement. So as a wrap up, the point is, go out, figure out what you need, figure out what you might need, use that in conjunction with your goals to plan for a secure retirement.